Okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so Tori, welcome. Uh, Tell me one a little about yourself, but also what made you go with Tori instead of your name is Victoria? Is it short for Victoria?
Yes.
Because that is
Yes.
a gorgeous name.
Oh, thank you. So, my mom named me Victoria, and right off the bat called me Tori. So, um, there was
It came
one
from
point I
her.
think when I was a kid, I wanted to be called Vicky. I'm kind of glad that didn't stick. Um, but that's it. So I never really had a choice from the get go.
Where are you?
When I went
Where
to
are you
culinary
located?
school, I'm located in Mississippi.
Okay.
I'm a Louisiana girl, but where I live is Mississippi Delta area. So um, home to me is 30 minutes. So I'm right across the Mississippi River.
Okay, so tell me a little about yourself. You hunt, and you hunt all sorts of things. You cook, you chef. Let's get into it.
Yeah, dive straight in. So I've been in the restaurant industry since I was 15. I'm 35 now. So I've been doing restaurant and food things all my life. My dad loved to cook. I kind of picked up on that from him, I think. The restaurant world, the ADHD in me loved every bit of all of that all over the place. And serving people was always something I really enjoyed doing. Got to a point in my career to where I decided I wanted to be more connected to my food. I was actually a vegetarian and then became a hunter.
How long were you a vegetarian for?
So I didn't, I'll just say, I was kind of pescatarian once I turned 18. And it was not like I'm going to not eat meat thing. I just kind of got tired of it. Actually, I think I had a babysitter that fed me one too many like beanie weenies at lunch. So I got sick of it. But anyway, so when I went to culinary school and kind of started learning about different aspects of, I guess, the food industry, it was like a shock for me. So I was like, well, my way of combating a lot of these things, I'm just going to not eat meat. It didn't work out for me. I became pretty unhealthy, lost a lot of weight. I was trying really hard, though, to sustain in that way, which really ridiculously stupid. I was raising two kids, living by myself, going to school. Probably not what I needed to be doing. Anyway, so that, and then when I moved back home, which is a more rural area here, I was in the capital city of Louisiana in culinary school, so I had access to Whole Foods and things like that. When I moved back to Mississippi, Louisiana area, where my parents were from, because I had help with my kids, and that was a big thing. Both my kids were pretty young at the time. I was like, well, where am I going to get? There's no Whole Foods here. So I kind of had to figure out a different way, and I took on hunting. More so, I took on hunting for the later in life for the mental aspects of it, kind of being a part of nature and being connected and things of that nature. So I left restaurants, I left working for other people, and just kind of started building this thing that has taken on a life of its own, which I'm super grateful for.
So I'm gonna go back a little bit because I have this problem of being bing 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 also. So
It's me.
I have a serious issue, so I'm learning to rein it in. So when you going back to being a vegetarian, because I think that a lot of people think that because they're a vegetarian, they're helping the earth, it's more sustainable, it's better, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's crap. Can you talk about it a little?
Yeah. I try really hard. I'm not going to get too opinionated with that because I think that the best thing someone can do to learn about that is obviously do their own research, and you kind of learn that a lot of that is crap. Yeah. So, and that was kind of, I was pretty young at the time. And I think that's what you see too now. I was 25 or so, but you see a lot of people that are young and busy and, they're just wanting to do the best they can. And, everybody wants to do their part. And if you can just like eat less meat, you're doing your part. What a great way to like do your part. So for me, I did that. I was going to do that too. And I experimented with it. And I still kind of refer to myself, I'm my own science project, like let's play with different diets and play with different things and get to know myself, inside out and figure out what works for me, because we're all different. With that being said, I just will say that I think that there's a lot of, I don't even know the right word to, there's a lot of push for that. For people to follow a certain diet and kind of all fit into one cluster, and that's not what humans are. So that's my take on that.
Well, it's definitely, I mean, I'm in the health and wellness industry, and there's there's a lot of, well, what do you do? It will work for me. And we're all different. And it's exactly what you said. It's not, there's no magic pill. There's no just, you lose weight and you're fit and you're like, it doesn't work that way. It's a lifestyle. And I think that, especially being here, like I'm in New York, I'm in a big city, and people are constantly on the go, 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 go. And it is what you're saying about, well, they think they're doing their part, but it's actually the exact opposite to a big degree. And there's so many other more helpful things that they could probably do if they want to do their part.
Yeah.
But the fake foods that these places are creating is just crap. Like, I keep saying this word crap, but the fake burgers, the fake things, like the best thing that you could do that I feel like is applicable to all is just a whole food. Like truly whole foods rather than chemicals and creations, essentially.
Yeah, it's another way, like I look at that, and this is kind of the take, what I take on with like gardening and hunting and foraging and all these things. It's like life begets life. So if you are eating something that has been living fully and cared for and nurtured, you will in turn receive that kind of nutrients, right? So talking about fake foods and stuff, that's not the same. And I don't think it fuels us the same. I think it's a temporary fix, and that's a whole other subject. Like, everybody needs something quick and easy, and it's unfortunate for people's busy schedules, but like, you really got to get to know yourself and your body if you want to actually live a fulfilled life and take care of yourself. That's a big part of it.
Yeah. Were you able to, I guess, this is something that my husband and I have been talking about a lot lately, because we have a toddler and we have another little one on the way, and about getting your kids involved, like as kids, like toddlers, whatever. And I know your kids are a little bit older now, but getting them involved with what you eat and what you do, like your lifestyle essentially, rather than catering to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a tricky thing, because mine are now, well, there's always this pushback. Okay, so like kids, where they really claim independence is with their food. And I think that has, that's been a constant in my children's lives. So one of the things I remember doing early on, and this is particularly when I was in culinary school, when I went through my nutrition class, I fell in love with the nutrition aspect of that, of learning and just learning about everything that's in different foods. Was I would sit down with kids and be like, okay, we're eating broccoli. Look at this. It says that broccoli is going to make you see better and you're going to get stronger, and little things like that, which is really cool, because to this day, like, my son loves broccoli, and I'm like, yeah, I contributed to that.
Yes.
It was me. No, but yeah, so as far as like hunting, and there was a point when I kind of started on this journey. I was so obsessed with it that my kids would just be like, we do not want to do this with you. Like, this is so much. Like, it's all you talk about. It's all you want to do. But with the less I push that on them, and I'm just like, hey, I'm going hunting now. My son's like, hey, are you going out today? I want to go. Or we want to go let's go catch some fish. He loves fishing. And then last year, my daughter surprisingly wanted to go out and hunt. And
how old are they?
So my daughter is 17, and my son will be 15 next month.
Oh man. So I want to know more about your hunting. Yeah. A whole nother world.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they've enjoyed. They're starting to enjoy it with me now, and I think it's maybe over time I've become less forceful with my passions.
You're like, I like it. I know you will. Just do it.
I like do what I say. Come on, it's fun.
Basically, mom makes the rules. Duh.
Right.
That's too fun. So you hunt, you fish. How did you? I feel like those are such things that are they're very generational. Like it has to be taught. Like it's not something that you just, oh, I learned how to carve a deer. Like it doesn't work that way. Like so where did you pick these up, and you've been doing them forever, or you?
So my family, I grew up in a family that hunted on both sides. My mom's family, my dad's family. I grew up with my dad going to duck camp, and he hunted ducks his whole life. And I grew up around it. I went to the camp a few times and did all that stuff. I never harvested an animal though until I was 23, maybe.
By harvest, you mean cook, like properly?
I never killed an animal.
Oh,
I didn't hunt until.
Just cause?
Yeah. So like, I just didn't. It wasn't something. Even though it was so close to, it was all around me. Everyone hunted. I just never did. It was never really on my radar. And then I was vegetarian, and then it was actually after that.
What did your family say about that? You being vegetarian?
Oh, they just were like, "Here she goes again with one of her weird things." like this is not surprised. Like, here we go again. I've always been really disgusted with like fast food, and I've always been very obsessed kind of with health and nutrition and what we fuel ourselves with and things like that. So I think they were just like, here she goes on
another kick.
Yeah.
So what was your first harvest look like? What was it? What was it and how did it look? So
I'll rewind this a little bit. Fishing has always been something. I've caught fish since I was a little girl.
Okay.
So that's not been I think that's not as creepy, like that doesn't scare people as much.
I feel like a lot of people, it's easier to ease into it because it's less human or something.
Yeah, I think so. But with my first harvest,
hold on, while we're on fish, what is something that people should know about fishing, whether it's because you also cook your fish, like something interesting or something that you're like, I come across this all the time and nobody knows it, but they should.
Gosh, there's so many things. I don't really that you can brine it. That as far as like a way to cook things to do with fish, like you can brine it, and like it's really great for freshwater. It's kind of a way to impart some flavor, and that's actually one of my favorite things to do with bass or crappie or brim or something like that.
Okay, explain this brining it.
Yeah, so it's just like a salt, sugar, water solution.
Okay.
And I actually use like raw honey. You cook it down, garlic, some whatever different seasonings and spices you want to add. Sometimes like some onion.
It's not fishy?
No, brine, no. So, but you'll cook down the brine solution and then chill it.
Obviously, I don't know anything about this.
No, it's okay. It's okay. There's actually a recipe on, I believe there's one on my link tree on Instagram.
Okay, I'll put the tab here so people can see.
Yeah. You cook down your brine solution, and then you just kind of soak your fish in that.
And you do the whole fish?
You cook it. You can do whole fish. You can do fillets.
Okay. Bones?
Yeah. Yeah. Bone. Well, so once you cook, I'm not, some people don't, are a little sketched depending on who you're feeding. With bones, that can get kind of, but depending on how you cook it, a lot of times you can just pull the bones right out. Now, if it were like my grandmother, I would definitely make sure that it's just filet fish, not, so, or small children.
My toddler, I don't know.
Right.
Okay, so that's,
But,
so you have the mixture, the concoction, you put the fish in, and then you cool it.
yeah, so you cool the brine before you put the fish in. So you're just like mixing all the flavors, kind of bringing it to a boil, cutting it off, sticking it in the fridge, and then once it's completely chilled, you put your fish in for sometimes like an hour is fine with fish, and it just kind of imparts some flavor, takes away some fish do have a stronger taste that people don't necessarily like, especially freshwater, I think, and that's like so perfect for it, and it kind of loosens them up if you have like a tougher fish or something that's not as flaky naturally.
Okay, I'll take it. I'm gonna include that link from your link tree. Okay, so now to the hunting stuff.
Onward.
Your onward is right. You're bow hunting.
Yes.
All the things, tell.
So I just started bow hunting started dabbling about 2 years, not last season, but the season before that.
When does the season start down there?
So October 1st.
Oh, so soon. Are you ready?
Yes, very soon. I'm not as ready as I want to be, actually. My reason for holding off on getting into bow hunting for as long as I did was because I wanted to be able to dedicate like all of my life to it. Because I have that thing about me that wants to like just be, I feel like I'm not giving it the full amount of attention and dedication it deserves. But with that being said, I can't dedicate my entire life to it right now because there's also this career and children and life. So with that being said, and that's like my way of making an elegant excuse, I guess.
No, but it's the reality.
It is my reality.
I think that's something that's very, very overlooked with women, with being the mom. Because like, even if you have help or even if your kids are grown up, whatever, there's so much that the mom has to do. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't ever stop.
Right.
And I'm just getting started. So being your kids are older, I'm like, this is never ending.
No, it doesn't. And I love it. And now I'm actually at a point where I'm like, holy cow, that time really flew by. But yeah, now it's more of like, just like the we needs and take me here and take me there. And are you going to be here for this? It's all that, but which is, I love, honestly, I know that I'm going to miss it so much. And sometimes I just catch myself like, how did we get here so fast? But with the bow hunting, it's something that bow hunting is different than rifle hunting, especially, so like most of our hunting with rifles here, you are going out into a deer stand, right? And it's still an awesome experience. I love rifle hunting from a deer stand or blind or whatever. But bow hunting is, you are exposed to all the elements. You're right there. You're blending in with a tree, basically. And you have to like it's just crazy to sit there with a deer 15 foot in front of you and to be able to move and pull the bow back calm enough to not shake and then release the perfect arrow so that hopefully it's kill the animal and it isn't harmed or hurt or so no any struggle. One thing can screw the whole thing up. So it is something to be taken seriously, in my opinion. And with that being said, I like duck hunting. That's with a shotgun. And there's just so many different aspects. And I'm like, I have all my life to do this. As long as I stay fit and in shape and take care of myself, the time will come. So with that being said, I had a miss on a deer last year. All right, I hit the deer, but I just grazed it over the top of the back, I think, after doing like a big search and all these different, it was a pretty crazy experience. But yeah, so that's a whole nother ball game. And I'm kind of like, I think it's funny because I'm just like so ready to be fully engulfed by it. And I'm like, it's like, nope, not yet. You're teetering.
Well, it makes that anticipation much more like desirable. Like you really want it and you're really going to put the time. I had, so I grew up shooting bow. I grew up in Michigan and my stepdad was a hunter, hunted, whatever. And I remember being, I don't know, maybe 10, 12, and him like showing me how to, you know, gut it in the back straps and the hindquarters, all this stuff. And then I moved here. And you don't have that stuff in New York. Like, I'm in the city. Like,
right.
And then we got a place upstate, which is very similar to where I grew up in Michigan. And I was trying to get a bow, and I couldn't, and I'm a lefty. I couldn't get, it literally took me like 18 months to get one. Like I couldn't get one. And yeah, it's crazy. And that was, it was during COVID essentially.
Yeah.
And everything was back ordered. I couldn't get anything. I finally got it and I was like obsessive. And I'm like, okay. And then it like winter happened and that was just this past winter. And now I'm like 8 months pregnant. And it's like the whole life just keeps happening. And I'm like, am I ever gonna like get to do these things? But it's funny because it's like, even when I just go practice or just target practice, whatever, I like that my daughter can see me do it because she wants to participate and she wants to, because she's little still. So it's fun, even though I'm not able to do the things I want to do, like as progressively quick or whatever. So I totally understand that, like, and I'm kind of glad to see that it's not just because I feel like I'm stuck.
No, it is. Because it's a completely different world is the way I see that, and it's like the one that I'm like always looking at and can't wait to do. But for me, you know, with speaking of having children, you know, I had my children very young. I was 17 when I got pregnant with my daughter. And so that's also a part of like, because with bow hunting is all the adventures and the like these excursions out by yourself. So I kind of look at it like everything leading up to these things is preparation, right? So, and as is life though. So that's another thing, you know, to bring it back to like hunting and kind of, I guess my obsession with it is everything that I learned there is so transferable to my everyday life. And I can use all the tools and the patience I've learned through hunting, and patience with myself too, like with bow hunting, like just being like, wow, you suck right now, but you're going to get better with practice. Like that's what we have to do. But yeah, so and it is a beautiful thing, I think, to, you know, you saying that your daughter is watching you and wants to, it's the same way with, you know, when kids can see you doing these things. And I remember seeing my dad do certain things and I still reflect back on like, oh, I remember that is something I can like, it's like a coming home to a memory of. So that's
and
really
when you
cool.
and I didn't know this because I mean I have nieces and nephews, but having your own kids, it's very different. There's so many things that either you do with them or they do, and it makes you realize exactly what you're saying. It makes you remember all these new memories. It's so weird.
And you're like, wow, I carried that with me.
Yeah, like where has that been this whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. I want to go back to the deer that you grazed. Was it a deer? Did you say deer?
Yeah, it was a doe.
Okay, so tell me about it because that's super scary.
Yeah, so I had been hunting my tail off. I was just relentlessly pursuing a deer. I had several opportunities kind of come up, and I'm another thing with bow hunting. kind of beating around the bush here for a minute, but this is like one of the things that I love about it is one of the things that's really been kind of under my radar last year, and I know it'll always be there, is this dance between like opportunity and patience. So like this, or hesitation, the dance between like, do I take this opportunity right now and move quick, or am I hesitant and wait? And so that's a big thing with hunting, and especially with bow hunting, because there's like this very small margin, right, for the animal to move, for you to move, or for you to be seen or spooked or whatever it is. And I find, so I'd like, that was me talking myself into taking the opportunity, because I'm like, there's also this, I want to be a perfectionist with everything. Like, I will not take this shot unless it is, you know, like,
exactly.
But that's not how it is in nature, right? So, and honestly, that's not how it is in life. So, like, you can't wait for the perfect thing, but you kind of have to get the kill shot.
Right.
So, back to the hunt. I was in a tree, had been hunting probably 20 plus hunts, God knows how many. And she was right there in front of me for longer than a minute or two. And so I'm like, okay, she's comfortable. I'm going to make the shot. And I did. And it was all such a blur after that. But I remembered like people. So I also like obsessively ask people, tell me your story about your bow hunt, you know, because they're like, whoa, right after you got to make sure you watch where they run or how they kick or how they move, to know where you shot. And I just was positive that I hit her. And then I like got down, I didn't see blood right off the bat, but I didn't see my arrow. So I was like, well, that's weird. And then I found blood, and I followed a very small blood trail. And was like, oh, I'm on it. But remembering like, if I injured her, I don't need to go out and like try to hunt her down now, because she's just going to continue to move, right? And so I just felt really sick to my stomach for a very long time. And then my son came out, and we looked and looked, and then I went back the next day and we looked, and it was clear that, but it was a relentless pursuit for this. I wanted to be sure that I didn't injure this animal and then it, you know, go out. And so it felt heavy. I cried. I mean, after like we looked for so long, I was like crying pretty hard and really beating myself up about it. And it's cool to talk about it now though, because, you know, when it happened, I was like, it was a terrible mistake. So I think I learned my lesson from it, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird thing, because I think for me to be in this city, I'm such an oddball in the sense of like, I understand this side of it, of like for example, so we have a place upstate. We were driving back on the highway the other day, and there was a bear that was probably a little bigger than my dog, that was hit on the side of the road dead.
Oh.
And it was so like sad, but also I'm like, okay, it like, this is nature. Like this is what happens. This is it's gruesome, and it's the reality, and people don't. I don't know if they don't want to accept it, or I don't know, but like it's a really interesting like mentality to have, because I hear this, and you're absolutely right, and I think that so much of social media and the general idea is portrayed of like, oh well, they're celebrating and they're so cruel and they're so, you know, it's disgusting, and it's like, no, they're like, it's a celebration of life, and this life providing food and exactly,
which what you eat is your life, like, right? So what you ingest, what you consume, even with your eyes, with your ears, with your nose, every bit of everything that you consume is your life. And so it is it's really crazy because, you're speaking of like the bear, the cub on the side of the road. My mind immediately is like, yeah, well, and we put those roads there. Humans put those roads there. But regardless, that cub would probably have been fighting for his life at some point.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, when I was looking for my deer, that particular hunt, I saw a deer that had been, and I actually took a picture of it. I saw a deer that had been attacked and eaten by a coyote.
Nature.
While I was looking, that's nature. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of animals, or many, I can't say, I don't even know statistics on this because I do not work in that sector, but animals will face a terrible death in nature as opposed to going out and looking for a mature animal and harvesting it for the food. So 100%. That's a really touchy thing, and it really sucks because I think that one of the things you see with hunters is a lot of hunters don't want to communicate about that, right? Not want to, or just don't really, like, I'm going out hunting. I want to be left alone. I don't want to sit here and have to constantly defend, but it is getting to a point now where hunters do need to defend themselves in an educated manner to help educate people on things kind of like what we're talking about now.
Well, that and the other, I mean, going back to what you're saying is like, you did feel you were sad. You cried. Like it's not,
for so long.
Oh, I'm so excited to kill this thing. It's like you want to put your best foot forward, and you practice, you put time in to make sure that this doesn't happen. Things happen, like accidents happen, and it's just whether it's you get a gust of wind or who knows what with bow. It's very different than with gun, but it's definitely something that I think needs to be talked about. And you're right. Like, especially men, they're very unlikely to, oh yeah, I looked for it and I cried. Right. Like I feel like men are much less, I guess, maybe emotionally tied to it or readily wanting to share it maybe.
Yeah. So I feel like I can, where I want to go with this is it makes me think of my grandfather. My grandfather was my mother's father was a very passionate deer hunter. He loved deer hunting in particular. And he loved it like so passionately, but he wasn't, and he would talk about, oh, look at the buck I killed. He was always so proud of that. Yeah. He was a man, he's a man. He was a man's man. A man's man. He was not going to like sit down with our family at Thanksgiving and cry over the deer he just killed. If he cried alone, right? Yeah. And handled it in that way, which to each his own. However, but that's a lot of it too. I think that hunters are a lot more connected. The majority of the hunting community is pretty connected to that emotional side. There are just some people who don't, who aren't out there sharing it, I guess. So it's which sucks in today's world because everything is blasted. So like if you're not like covering your ground to stand up for whatever it is, it's a hard place to be in. So hopefully there are a lot more women hunters now than there have been, I think, in the past 5 years. So hopefully that will continue to boost, and women usually don't have much of a problem sharing in comparison to, so like
that's for sure. Okay, so you hunt, this was the hunt, and then are you going out again, or have you been practicing? What are you doing now with your huntings?
So yeah, I will be,
what is there to hunt down there? Is it normal like what we have up here?
So we have white-tailed deer.
Same.
It's a big thing. That's one of my favorites. Hogs are year-round because they're invasive, and they're just everywhere. And then right now, I think is alligator. I'm not going out for alligator, but
how do people
everybody's
kill
doing
them?
that around here.
They just shoot them?
Yeah, or catch them on I think, or usually they'll bait like a big hook, and I think.
Aren't they really also overpopulated?
Oh yeah, a guy caught 12, 14 foot in a lake where at the lake right up the road. Huge. It's a massive alligator. Yeah, they're everywhere. But yeah, so duck season will open soon too. And
You're into
actually,
ducks? You do it with your dad?
so my dad doesn't hunt anymore, but
Okay.
yes, I love duck hunting.
Okay, so we'll go back to the whitetail. Any specific things to share about cooking them? Quick tips?
Yeah, you can. A lot of people just generally use, think of backstrap and tenderloins and then ground the rest. But those hams are great, and shoulders. Roasting a whole shoulder is really, really a treat. I think people forget about
I
that.
see the
Venison
passion
heart is
spewing
great,
out of
too.
you.
I'm like a good shoulder.
Okay, and hogs?
Same thing for hogs. People discard hogs a lot here and kind of dismiss them as, big nasty hog, but I love a good hog. Same. You don't have to ground it all, and you can totally shoulder. I think I have a few hams and a shoulder left still of the hog that I'm going to cook whole and do like some pulled pork. Yeah, so there's this weird, I don't know, some people think they're so nasty. I beg to differ every time.
When you cook and you, I guess, create your recipes, you create, like, how's that process?
So that has actually been one of my favorite things about the journey out of, corporate and restaurant, other companies' kitchens. That's been the coolest thing because I kind of was able to reignite my creativity and curiosity at the same time that I started hunting. And so it was like kind of rebuilding a relationship with food and nature altogether. And there was no one saying, this is what you have to do, right? So that whole process over the past 4 years or so has been really awesome. And it's me playing with food, and thinking about the experience and thinking about whatever smell I was smelling, or sometimes like just a memory of what I was thinking about when I was hunting can like ignite me to have this cool, like, creative idea of what I want to do with this meat because it happens to resonate with how I felt at that time or whatever. So it's always a very deeply creative process. And the whole writing out of recipes for those things, I do that for other people. But what I really wish people, and I understand that not everyone has the time and dedication, but I wish so deeply for people to have enough connection with themselves to allow themselves to like follow their intuition when cooking rather than these, recipes and rely, once you know basics, you can really kind of cook intuitively, I guess, is a way to say that. So that whole process is something that like I'm pretty passionate about and I do a lot of, but I don't do it every day. So that's like, okay, I'm going to take out a day and play with this meat.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. I get what you're saying. I'm not a cook. My husband's a great cook. He's very what you're saying, where he doesn't measure things. He does, like, I can follow a recipe and this is what I do.
Right.
But he's like, and he loves it. Like,
yeah.
So it's I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm one of those other people that I'm like, let me follow a recipe.
Right. Well, and so with wild game, it's already so many, until I've seen more people now get more interested in but for a while there, for a very long time, I think people just ate basic things with wild game, right? Or like there's like a ton of like wild game chefs I'm noticing, and maybe that's just because that's the space I'm in. There are more people, like creating wild foods and wild food cookbooks and game meats and all these other things. But I understand the purpose of the recipe for people, and I have to like make myself sit down to to write those things out. But it is because I want to be able to share, that with other people. But it's kind of like if you know the texture, or if once you know like what this meat, like a hog ham is always going to be the same kind of texture for the most part, same texture, same thing. Like you can do X amount of things with it. And then from there, play with it. But yeah, I get the recipe thing is, I'm always growing into that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because each meat cooks so differently.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband was just telling me that there's this, so we have a butcher that upstate, and we get like half a cow from him. So he decides what he wants, whether it's ground or this or that, whatever. And then he'll cook according to, whatever he thaws or whatever.
Right.
But he was saying that there was another place that he just ordered from somewhere in Utah or somewhere out west, and it's the same thing, like the same piece of cow, but it's like a premium.
Right.
And it cooked way different.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm like, I don't know. So I get what you're saying, but it's very interesting to like understand that.
Yeah, it's one big science project. One big creative.
Yeah, it is.
Field. Yeah.
So, what are some of your favorite things that you're cooking now? And how many freezers do you have?
Okay, so I actually just have my freezer. I've actually been in conversation with my dad about going ahead and getting a chest freezer. I do not even have a chest freezer. So, but I will keep some meat in my parents' freezer, and I will just go get as I need. It's like 30 minutes. So that's like a go visit mom and dad thing. But my freezer is my freezer on my refrigerator is always full. So as far as like what I'm cooking now, right now I'm just waiting on season, and I did actually went and hung out at a wild game processing place. They also do livestock processing, and took some marrow bones from there. So I'm making some marrow butter tonight.
Oh, tell about that.
Super healthy. So the marrow, so they'll cut I want to say it's pieces by the femur. I always hate to say the wrong thing though.
It's basically, I'm going to be an asshole, but I think it's the piece that I give my dog.
Probably so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, and then it's got the hole in the middle?
Yeah, so they butchered a really large cow. So I had tons of marrow bones. I have a ton in the freezer. So basically you just roast them off, and it's kind of gelatinous, buttery, oily, fatty goodness. So I'll take that, and from what I've read, it's like super healthy, really good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna mix that with a little bit of unsalted regular butter and some herbs, and I'm also gonna take some red wine broth from short ribs that I cooked a while back. I saved like all my broths and stuff.
Do you make ice cubes out of them?
No, I just put them in a jar.
How long do they last in a jar?
I would say I think it'll probably last a month.
Like a mason jar, you just...
Yeah. But I'm going to use some of that in the butter, I think, and kind of see what happens. So, yeah, that'll be my little experiment for now. But I'm basically just waiting on hunting season. I always will, if I'm bored, cook something, try it out. I've still got some hog and a little bit of deer. So,
do you ever buy your meat, or you're only hunting it?
Year before last, a friend gave me almost a whole elk, so I did not have to buy any meat.
What a good friend.
Huh?
I said, what a good friend.
Right? I know. I'm like, go hunting, get more meat. um, so, but here recently, actually in the past probably 6 months, I've taken more to buying meat, which is new for me, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just roll with what life throws your way. Like,
Yeah, not having conviction for like hardcore beliefs has been really helpful. you know,
definitely.
just like I know I need to eat some meat, so I'm gonna go buy some.
Yeah, it's kind of that simple.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so I want to hear more about more of the things that you're cooking, um, this projects you're working on. You haven't worked at in the restaurant industry per se in years. So how
I
do
went back
you
for the summer in Wyoming.
hold on, go back?
Yeah. So I went to Brush Creek Ranch
Okay.
in Wyoming. It is a luxury resort type ranch. I went there in May. So I, on a whim, was just sitting at home and I was like, man, I need to tap back into the restaurant scene or that whole work with a team. I was missing teamwork, I think. Um, and this was the first time in my life where my kids were old enough where I could like kind of get them situated with some help and have my parents and people look over them and head out for the summer. So I was actually the longest I had been away from my children ever.
Ever.
It was a shock. It was kind of hard. It was actually very hard. Um, so from May through the beginning of all, I left August the 1st. I was in Wyoming. Moved into a employee housing. Lived with 11 people. Had never done that before. Had my little cubicle bedroom.
What an experience. And
Yeah. It was just that. Went to working for other people again. Mm-hmm. So I've never had roommates aside from my children. So it was a lot. I just like really heavily relied on my fitness routine, which some days was just going outside and running. I did a lot of hiking. With every chance I had off, I would go hike.
What would a day look like there?
So a work day was 10-hour, usually sometimes 12-hour, shift.
And that's pretty standard though with restaurant industry.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
It shouldn't be, but it is. Their hours are crazy.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be.
Because there's the prep. There's so many components to it.
Yep. Well, and especially so like this place, any given day we would have like so many. It's a luxury resort, so many special requests, or you have 3 different, different places doing different things. Just so many pieces to the puzzle, right? So
what kind was it? All special, like wild game, like special?
No, it had nothing to do with that. So, and yeah, that was the thing. It was.
What made you choose this specific place?
I know, right? I don't really know. I am very much a go with your gut person, though.
Okay.
And I had like a few other places, and for some reason, this was the place that I think what it ended up being for me, I was reminded of how important it is to stand up for myself. And even when you're working for someone, how important it is like for other people, for you to speak what you need. Right. So like I was kind of, I was a sous chef or titled a sous chef. There were a lot of younger kids there, just for the summer that thought, might be interested in the restaurant industry or might be interested in working with food. And so realizing that these people are looking to me for leadership, I stepped out of that world other than what I speak on social media. I completely left that world. It became just too heavy, I think. And realizing that like I could still have a positive impact on them just in showing them like, or modeling how to kind of like stand your ground and be like, hey, no, like I've been here for 12 hours, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Even something, if that's all that was, then so be it. I think I met some really cool people and I love that part of the country. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
I'm
beautiful.
so grateful to have been there, and I kind of want to go back, maybe not there, but it's a beautiful, beautiful country. I'm actually going back there to pronghorn hunt with a friend in 2 weeks. So
oh, that's fun.
yeah, so it was an experience, and it
Okay,
made me
so
not
what was the
compete.
day though? I cut you off, I think.
I'm sorry, I did
I
that.
I also
I
did.
did that. So a normal day would be, I would go in at, I guess 10 a.m., 12 p.m., something like that, and prep and set up our daily, we'd do like 130 hovers at night. We'd have family meal at 4 p.m. Everybody sit down and eat together. And then the kitchen was an open kitchen. So, clean up at night. If everyone left out of there by 9 p.m., everybody grabs a mop, a broom, sanitizer, and spick and spans the whole place, and then go home, go to bed, and then I would wake up and do my little exercise routine and do it all over again. Very monotonous.
How far were you guys housed from the kitchen?
Okay, so I was probably 5 minutes from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had some car trouble, and had to catch a ride for a month, but it was fine, honestly. Like it was a very medicinal summer, in a weird way. I cried so much, but it was like good, I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like you got to go through that shit in life. You really do.
Yeah.
And
what was the biggest thing you learned? I mean, I guess standing up for yourself, but that's what you taught them, I guess.
I think I learned that too.
Also?
It was a big, I learned too, that it was kind of I don't want to say that being there and being by myself and just like having that much time by myself, right? Where there's no distractions, right? Except for like what I'm doing in this space and like, am I making use of my time? Because there are a lot of days, the monotony of that, just like get up, da 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 da. I love a routine. I love routines, but that was under someone else's, right? Like it's almost like I'm very much a free bird, so it kind of made me feel like a puppet, right? You do this right now, every day, and so battling that in my mind was really, or not battling it, but like having to like work through some of these things and like weigh out the pros and cons and like stick it out and tough it out and find ways to get through this, and it's not the end of the world. Like, so that was, and then to just like go out in nature and hike. Like I hiked another 14er there, so that was cool. And just like push myself to extremes and like look around and be like, okay, there's so much to be grateful for. This is not that bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful, out west is so, it's like just magnificent.
Yeah, it really was. And also like being like, okay, so yeah, I am not going to work X amount of hours a week, period.
Well, and sometimes I think you need that reminder, because when you're so used to your life and what you have going on, it's really easy to get wrapped up in with social media and all the things that we see.
Yep.
Oh, they're doing this and this is happening and that's happening and it's so much better, the grass is greener, all that nonsense.
It's not. It's as green as you make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Are you gonna do it again? Or you had enough?
I don't know. I might. I don't know. I don't. When I left there, a month ago, I would have been like, hell no. But it's cool how time also, you know, has its way with us. I don't know that I would go back there, but I did enjoy I miss teamwork in that way in the kitchen. I realized that I've not completely shut that world out. I miss there's just something about being in a restaurant, that is something I really love.
Do you have anyone that you cook with at home?
So right now I was private chefing before I went and did that.
What does that mean?
I was a private chef for a couple that lived in this area.
Got it.
They moved over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So I am, as far as like what I'm doing now, there's a restaurant in town that I'm just like kind of helping out with, biding time until I start some of the things I have coming up for hunting season. So that will be end of October will be like my first trip. I'll be going to Georgia to mentor and cook for a women's hunt with Hunter Recruitment Project. So
that's awesome.
I'm very excited about that.
A little more about it. What are they hunting? What is it?
So it's a collaboration between the ranch in Julian, California, which is a nonprofit, and then also Hunter Recruitment Project, which is a nonprofit. They have teamed up to do an all women's hunt where they'll bring on mentors, and it's hunting whitetail at a ranch or a hunting destination in Georgia. So I'll fly out for 3 days, and it's a bunch of new hunters, 9 new hunters, I think. And we'll go out with them and we'll harvest deer and show them the whole process. And I'll be there also cooking and hunting with someone or maybe 2. So
wow, that's so. And what are they hunting with?
We'll be hunting with guns. So
do they have to bring their own, or you guys supply everything?
They'll be provided. Yeah, they'll be provided.
And I'm guessing down there it's the same. You have to have your like hunter safety. It's part of the prerequisite.
Right. So I'm not on that end of things, but they'll make sure that everybody has all they're probably lining all that stuff out now.
Wow, that's so I didn't even know that was a thing, but it's like genius. Because it goes back to what we were saying in the beginning about like you don't really learn how to hunt unless you are taught. And it's a small group. Excited. You said 9?
Yeah, 9, and I think 9 hunters and 9 mentors.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited. That's what I really love to do.
My time just got expired, but you want to say hi? Oh, hello.
Hello. I see you all the time. Hello.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll open it. Okay, so this is the realities.
That's it.
Let your handle, where we can find you, all the things. Tell.
Yeah, so it's _Gatherin, no G on the end, _girl on Instagram, and then it's thegatheringirl.com.
Okay.
That's where you can find me.
And what do you have on your website?
My website's basically just a blog.
Okay.
I haven't shared much on there lately. You can also contact me through there, or for any kind of services, or if you're interested in having any questions about wild game, or I can cook for you.
And you will cook. You'll go and cook for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I'm gonna include little links and the videos and everything so people can know where to go. And you want to say bye?
Bye.
Oh, here,
Goodbye.
say bye. See ya.
See you later, alligator.
It was so nice to meet you. Thank you.
You too. Yeah.
Be in touch. I want to hear how everything goes.
I will definitely keep you up to date.
And I will be watching you and seeing what you're doing.
Same. Take care.
Thank you, Tori. See you.
Bye.